The greatest stories start with a drink. Today's story involves Texas, a fault line, and a broken tasting bottle. Today, I am tasting Balcones 100% Texas rye whiskey. Texas whiskey is pretty unique. Whiskey gets most of its flavor from the barrels. When it gets hot, the barrels absorb the whiskey. And when it gets colder, the whiskey comes out of the barrel. So when you're in colder climates, like Kentucky and Scotland and even Wisconsin, it can take a long time for whiskey to mature to the point that it can get out to consumers. Years, maybe even decades. With the Texas heat and temperature swings, it allows the whiskey to go in and out of the barrels a lot more than it would in Kentucky or Scotland or Wisconsin. And because, those places have cooler winters. Texas gets really hot in the summer. It could be 120 degrees in the summer, but then 60 degrees in the winter. So you're still seeing a range. It's just because it gets so much hotter, it pulls those barrel flavors a lot more. And so this whiskey, the rye, is only aged about 18 months. The distillery, Balcones, was started in 2009 in Waco, Texas. It is the second oldest and one of the best known distilleries from Texas. The distillery is named after the Balcones fault line, which follows a tradition more of a Scottish or an Irish distillery, which usually refers to the place where the distillery is. Balcones distills a lot of single malts, similar to what Scotland and Ireland, a lot of what comes out of those countries do. And they also spell whiskey without the E, which is traditionally what American and other parts of the world besides Scotland and Ireland spell their whiskey with an E, and Scotland and Ireland and Balcones spell it without the E. There's kind of a link, and the distillers are very proud of that at Balcones. They are known for their blue corn whiskey, which I did get to try because the whole reason for this bottle is we got gifted a Flaviar, not sponsored, tasting for Christmas. And unfortunately, our rye of that whiskey tasting broke. So I decided to just go out and buy one. The rye is 100% rye mash bill with Elbon rye as the main source. And this is a historic variety that's grown in Northwest Texas. This fits kind of into their grain to glass that they discuss on their website. They're trying to know where their ingredients come from and trying to source in Texas too. This rye also has crystal, chocolate, and roasted rye making up the rest of the mash bill. And also, another fun tidbit, I found out while I was doing research on this rye from a Forbes article that I'll link down below in case you're interested. They were talking about Balcones, and they said that the flavor from rye is found in the husks, and therefore a lot of distilleries like to get older, smaller kernels, which have a higher ratio of husk to flour. So I thought that was kind of interesting. You learn something new every day, even when you've been tasting whiskey for a while. So Balcones distills in column and pot stills, and this rye is distilled in a pot still. It is 100 proof, and I paid almost $40 for it at the local Total Wine. Let's go ahead and go in for a look, a smell, and a taste, and then I'll let you know if I'd buy it again. Color-wise, you'd see it's fairly dark. It's definitely pulling those notes out of the wood. Not as dark as I've seen some Texas whiskeys, and even some from Balcones, but it is definitely on the darker side. Let's go ahead and go in for a smell. So the main flavor I'm getting is like a charcoal smoke. I'm also getting a little bit of sweetness, kind of a cherry. I'm definitely picking up some of the rice spice as well. And a little bit earthy too. Let's go ahead and go in for a taste. So I'm definitely getting a little bit of a smoky char flavor. There's definitely a sweetness in the middle, and then rice spice at the end. The char flavor kind of goes all throughout, but I'm definitely picking up some notes under it. And I mean, the char flavor, this is the first Texas whiskey I have had, and I think that's kind of a characteristic that's coming out of the region, because it does get so hot and they can pull so many flavors out of the barrel. If you're using a bourbon barrel, which I actually don't know exactly what they use, but you know, it's definitely going to have some, you're going to get some char out of any barrel. And there's definitely a wood flavor on the finish as well. I would say there's kind of the sweetness is kind of an apple flavor. Yeah. All in all, for my first Texas whiskey, I really enjoyed it. That being said, I'm not huge on smoky. It's kind of why I'm not huge on Islay scotches and things like that. So I think the more I've had of this bottle, and as you can see, we've been trying to find different things for it to see if we could find a cocktail that we like with it. And so far, the smokiness really comes out, and it's kind of hard to match that. So I may have to find something else to match it with. I'm not quite sure of a cocktail even to use it in yet. But I do like it, but I don't think it's something I would buy again unless I got way more into the char smoky flavor, because it's different than a Scotch smoke, but it reminds me of that. And so when that's not really my profile, not really what I go to, it's probably something I'm not going to buy again. But I would highly recommend trying it because it's its own, because Texas whiskey is its own unique region. And so I think that you should definitely try it and see for yourself if it's something that you would enjoy. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Cheers!